You would think at this point that most teams are done making transactions and have successfully constructed the roster that they want to put forward for the 2020 to 2021 NBA season, which begins officially in a little bit over than 3 weeks. But believe it or not, that's not necessarily true. There are still a lot of teams that are constructing their rosters and still have big roster decisions to make for the NBA season. For one, I'm personally waiting on a potential watch bomb about Russell Westbrook or James Harden getting traded from the Houston Rockets, but there are other teams making smaller moves or contending teams that are making smaller moves, and in this video, we're going to be discussing up-and-coming team. I don't know if you consider Charlotte to be an up-and-coming basketball team. Let me know in the comment section down below if you do believe they are. I personally don't. I feel like they're still repeating their same mistakes, and we're going to get to that. But we're going to cover a move that they made, and we're going to cover a move that the Los Angeles Clippers made. So what's going on, guys? Your boy Mike here. And before we get to the content, guys, if you're a Charlotte Hornets fan, we have officially dropped our very first career simulation on my gaming channel, TheFlightMike TV. It's actually our most successful upload to date. And now that we have a good quality piece of content there, I'd like you guys to go ahead and check it out and let me know in the video what you guys think about the content. I'm planning on doing more videos like this on my gaming channel, and there's absolutely 0 people that have my notifications on for that channel. So if you can go over there, check it out and subscribe, maybe turn on my notifications if you enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate it. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? So guys, about a week ago, the Charlotte Hornets blew all of our minds, and I guess you could say the Boston Celtics kind of blew all of our minds. Arguably the greatest botched move in all of free agency occurred. You see, Danny Ainge had this remarkable opportunity to move on from Gordon Hayward and bring in a player that the Boston Celtics desperately needed in Miles Turner and a potential first-round draft pick in return for a Gordon Hayward sign-and-trade. And for some reason, Danny Ainge didn't take it. And as time progressed forward, Gordon Hayward decided that he wanted to play for the Charlotte Hornets. Now, the thing that was really head-scratching about this is Charlotte not only inked Gordon Hayward, they signed him to a 4-year, $30 million per year deal, which, in my opinion, I don't really think he deserved at all because he didn't really put up great numbers in Boston. Now, granted, he was injured during his time in Boston, but I would personally feel uncomfortable with the idea of paying a player $30 million per year when he only played 2 seasons in Boston, averaged 11.5 points per game off of 47% shooting in his first season, and then his last season he performed a little bit better, kind of looking a little bit more like his older self, averaging 18 points per game off of 50% shooting and 39% from 3. Now, to give you an idea, this past year, he was responsible for 5.7 win shares and had an PER of 18. Now, why am I bringing this all up to you? Because, well, this is eerily reminiscent of what the Charlotte Hornets did literally 5 years ago. So for those of you guys that don't know, on June 24, 2015, Nicolas Batum was traded to the Charlotte Hornets from the Portland Trail Blazers in exchange for Gerald Henderson and Noah Vonleh. Now, you have to understand, this was during a time where Nicolas Batum was seen as a fairly promising up-and-coming player in the NBA, although his stats don't really indicate it. The year before, in the 2013 to 2014 season, Nicolas Batum had a box plus minus overall of a 3.4, contributing on both the offensive ends with a 2.2 offensive box plus minus, a 1.2 defensive box plus minus, and a value over replacement player of a 4. And that year, he was responsible for contributing 7.9 win shares. And then the year after, I guess you could say he slightly regressed because he was only responsible for 5.2 wins and had an overall box plus minus of a 2.1 because he kind of regressed on the offensive side. Now, this was during the era where the Portland Trail Blazers elected to move on from LaMarcus Aldridge. LaMarcus Aldridge decided to sign with the San Antonio Spurs, and I guess at that point, the Portland Trail Blazers decided to completely blow it up because they traded Batum to Charlotte, and Charlotte's goal over here was to package Nicolas Batum with an up-and-coming Kemba Walker to potentially make a playoff run in a very weak East. Now, what ended up happening is During the first 2 years of his career in Charlotte, he performed fairly well, averaging about 15 points per game, 6 assists per game, 6 total rebounds per game, off of 43% shooting and 35% from 3. But each and every year after that, he regressed a little bit. But get this, there's a direct correlation between Nicolas Batum's regression with the Charlotte Hornets and the exact day that he decided to sign a contract extension. You see, on July 7, 2016, Batum signed a 5-year, $120 million contract with the Charlotte Hornets. And from there on out, the writing was on the wall because literally after the 2017 season, his numbers dipped from 15 points per game to 11 points per game, shooting 42% from the field despite playing the same amount of minutes. And then the year after that, he dipped into single-digit points per game averages with 9.3 in 2018 to 2019, until this past season, he only played in 22 games and only averaged 4 points per game in those games, while shooting 35% from the field. Now, to be fair, this was due to an injury that he had on the third finger of his left hand. But I felt like it was very interesting because Nicolas Batum and Gordon Hayward appear to be having very similar career trajectories. Both are coming off of contending teams from either the East or West, move on from the contending team to the Charlotte Hornets, who decide to overpay them despite them not really showing that they are worthy of such a contract. Now, I don't want to be disrespectful to Gordon Hayward because in Gordon Hayward's defense, he really never was able to get the ball rolling in Boston. Kyrie Irving got traded and he wasn't really happy there. He sustained a freak leg injury in his first year, and right when he started to come back and become his former self again, he was able to opt out and get a new contract. Nicolas Batum, however, is in a much different part of his career now. He's just 31 years old, and I have this theory that now he's going to have a phenomenal opportunity in front of him because according to Shams Charania, the Charlotte Hornets have elected to waive Nicolas Batum. And once he clears waivers, Nicolas Batum is going to sign with the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, personally, I love this move. I'm not going to lie. As a Laker fan, I would have loved to see him join the Lakers because I know what a motivated and healthy Nicolas Batum could bring to the table. You see, basketball players aren't just robots, guys, and I've discussed this ad nauseum whenever we brought up Avery Bradley. Avery Bradley went to a bunch of crappy teams, and as a result, his play kind of dipped because there's no reason to play hard when you're playing for a crappy team. It's not like those Charlotte Hornets teams that Nicolas Batum was a part of were going to even sniff a NBA championship. Now, he is going to be on a veteran minimum contract with the Los Angeles Clippers, and he could actually contribute to a championship roster. Now, I think this is going to be wonderful for Nicolas Batum and Nicolas Batum's career because, for one, we're going to see a motivated role player for the Clippers. For two, the Clippers don't really need to invest much capital in bringing Nicolas Batum in. Chances are he's going to get the veteran minimum here, and I don't think he minds because he signed a 5-year, $120 million contract about 5 years ago. He's good in terms of money. He's still 31 years old, so it's not like his body's failing him, and the only injury he sustained was to his finger, which isn't necessarily an injury that'll sap a player of his athleticism. So at the end of the day, this is a huge W for the Los Angeles Clippers and for Nicolas Batum, and I am personally really freaking happy to see that this is where his career is going. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to the Clippers, rebuilds his value, and ends up signing a big deal with another team should he want to do that. Or he could end up being on the end of the bench. I could see either scenario playing out here, but at the end of the day, this is a low-risk, high-reward signing for the Los Angeles Clippers, who are doing a remarkable job rebuilding their team after seeing a departure from Montrezl Harrell. At this point, the Clippers so far have re-signed Marcus Morris to a huge 4-year deal. They were able to bring Serge Ibaka on a 2-year, $19 million deal. They traded for Luke Kennard, which gives them additional shooting. Now they signed Nicolas Batum, a player that can defend the 1-4 position. So let me know in the comment section down below, Clipper fans, what do you guys think about this? And if you enjoy this content, make sure you check out our LaMelo Ball simulation in front of your screen right now. Aside from that, I'm your boy, TheFlightMike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.